This is one of my new favorites. My daughter actually named this one. This one's called the Fraggle.
Fraggle?
The Fraggle. Yeah, just like Fraggle Rock, that good old TV show. All right, same thing. We're going to start with, but we're going to go a little heavier on this one. So this one's got the hourglass, a little heavier eye on it. There we go. All right, I'm going to run this all the way back. And then, because this is a deeper running pattern, I'm going to throw some either lead or non-lead, whichever you prefer, on there. Alright, there we go. Okay, so now we're going to take the tail. So the tail I prepared earlier, and it's this. This is where we start getting unethical and things. This is this squirmy, wormy San Juan material, which, if you haven't seen it, you can pass that around and play with it. It's kind of it's an interesting one. I basically have taken. Yeah. So carp go a lot by feel too, and so if they suck it up and it doesn't feel right in their mouth, they'll just spit it straight back out. This one gives you an extra half a second to drive that hook point home. But what I've done is I've lashed a little bit of marabou onto the end of that, and the nice part is it's got this nice, very, very fluid motion to it. So thank you. So we're just going to lay that in. Now this squirmy worm material is really kind of difficult to work with. So when you're first attaching it, if you can give it a base to attach into dubbing.
Attach the feathers to it.
I'll show you that in just a sec. It takes a little bit of finessing, but it's doable. So we'll just lay that on. So I've laid down that little bit of dubbing there, and then we'll just do a trap wrap. Otherwise, this stuff just rolls all over the hook.
There you go, kid.
And it's really, really hard to get to stay put. So give it something that's got a little bit of grip to it. And that's looking a little long to me. All right. A little better. There we go. A little bit more dubbing on. Now, just like the last one, we're actually going to wrap up the hook a little bit so that we get that nice vertical presentation. I actually just caught a very large carp on this last Thursday. Just kind of playing around with some ideas. This fly came out of ice, but so there's a couple different ways that I'll approach this. So I will actually, when I first get to an area, I'll actually drag it through mid-water a couple times. Mid-water, three-quarter water, and then right on the bottom. And then I'll go after them sight fishing with it too at times. So it just kind of depends on where they're at or what I can see. But if I can't see them, and that's usually where I pick up most of my catfish, is on those blind casts right through the middle of a channel or something like that. We'll go for them. All right, so now for this one, for the body, we're going to use Cohen's Carp Dub. There we go. And it's the Blaze Orange, and this is actually a really great material because it's a synthetic, but it's got some little bits of mini rubber legs and stuff like that in it. So we're just going to dub a pretty thick body on this. So we'll very loosely dub this on because we're going to pick it out again in a minute. So this is the Blaze Orange carp. Probably the two colors I tie most in this are the Northern Lights Black and the Blaze Orange. If you guys want to pass those around, you're also welcome to. All right, take. Now, as it's a carp fly, we want a lot of motion, a lot of movement. So when you do attach rubber legs, you want to attach them longer than you normally would. A lot of movement on this one. And again, you want most of that being able to kind of stand up a little bit, and in the water it'll just kind of sit and move a little bit more for you, but that's what we're looking for. And a lot of carp flies look really similar, especially the bottom stuff. It's just kind of, imitate what they're after down in the mud. There's a lot of crayfish, there's a lot of damsels, there's a lot of dragonfly larvae and stuff like that they eat. So
Giant midges too.
yeah. Snails, they eat a ton of snails in Utah Lake too.
Popcorn.
Yeah, the popcorn flies. We tie a marshmallow fly too.
Yeah, they're crazy.
All right, now.
I love that
All right, now we're taking this macrame yarn. Great material. See how that'll look. All right, that's enough. Same thing, we'll just kind of tie that in half, put it in, line it up, and lay it back. One thing with carp too, if you're used to tying with head cement, things like that, don't do it. They have the best sense of smell of just about any fish. And I mean, even if you put bug spray on, sunscreen, touch your fly, they will touch it more often than not. Yeah. Trim that flush right there. All right. There we have the Fraggle. And this thing is, it's almost not fair, but it is kind of fun. So.
Great fly. I love that.
The one thing I have noticed, though, I mean, if you do like using head cement and things like that, the only thing that I have found that I can use on a carp fly that they won't spook from the smell is the Loon UV finish. And that's actually been a good one. So if you're doing bonefish bitters and patterns like that, that's actually a good material to use for carp.
Hey, Austin, before you go on, tell us how you attach the feathers to the squirmy.
Yeah, I'll show you actually. So we just take this little pin, and I'm actually going to use a thicker thread for this, but you lay down a good thread base. All right. Now this came at the end of many any cursing fits and trying to figure this out, because this is a tricky material to deal with, as you can see. Yeah. So you get that thread base, you get it to grip through the thread, and then it's not a problem. Then you just kind of take this little bit and trim it flush. But then we'll take our marabou, line it up. Now there's another pattern I tie, it's called the chain reaction, where I do the same thing but with a bead chain tail. What's that? Yeah, actually that would. Alright. And then we're just going to go overkill and put this last little bit on there, because why not? There it goes being difficult. Alright, there we go. Okay, now we get all technical. And I've actually learned to do this beforehand, so I do it on top. Don't let it soak through. But you just do a cursory. I'm going to shield your eyes from the UV because it's a fun one. Alright, so you just cure that real quick. Throw a whip finish on, and then we'll take it off and we'll do the second UV. And really all you need is one whip finish on that. Sometimes you'd be tempted to do more, but with that UV stuff, it just...
Slide it on.
And then you just slide it right off. I'm trying to keep it on camera there. See that okay? There we go. So then we make sure you get the tip that came off of the needle. Otherwise that'll just unravel on you real quick. And for carp, more often than not, you're not doing a whole ton of big long casts and things like that. I mean, on occasion you will. But more often than not, when I'm fishing these, it's just like a little swing cast or just kind of a bow and arrow over. So you're not causing, not a whole ton of distance and things like that. I haven't tested these to find out how durable they are for casting and things like that. But they've held up to carp quite well thus far, so why not?
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, I can talk about it. All right, I'll talk about it. All right, there we go. So this hook, you can see it's got that offset. That is fantastic for carp. The more out of line it is, the better hooking potential you have on that. So that's just how these ones come. They're, let's see, where is it? It's Allen hooks. I got this at the expo recently. They've worked well. Debarb them, and they have a good hooking capacity. And I really, really like how heavy they are as well. They hold up, and they hold carp very well, which is nice. It's nothing more frustrating than hooking up to a 30-plus pound carp and having it straighten your hook too. So then you feel sad. Then we hear the extent of your vocabulary as well. All right. Thank you. All right, so we'll get that on there good and tight. Wrap back again.
You use the colored thread normally or just the demo?
Normally, I actually will vary the color of thread based on how much weight I have in the fly. So if I don't have like eyes or anything like that, so normally it's really easy to tell whether I've got the bead chain eyes or the other eyes as well. But if I don't have any external knowledge of how much it is, if I do 5 wraps of lead, I'll use brown. If I have 10, I use orange, and then if I have 15 plus, I use black. And none is olive, so yeah. That just helps me so that I know when I open my box and look in, I go, okay, I need one that's going to go deeper quicker, or one that's not going to go as deep as fast. So just different conditions. If they're on sand, it doesn't really matter, but if they're over a weed bed, that makes it kind of difficult too. So
Your color code weights.
yeah. Okay, I tell you what, I'm going to show you a more fun one. This one's nice and all, but it's close enough to the Fraggle I just showed you. We'll make this one a little different. So this is one that I tie a lot of, and I really enjoy it. And I've caught bass, trout, carp, just you name it, I've thrown in it and caught them with it. I even hooked a pike on this. So we're going to take some orange pine squirrel. And we're just going to tie that into the tail there. And this is a really good pattern. It's very, very durable. It works well. And this is one that if you're out fishing for one thing and something else swims by, this is a good pattern to be able to throw at them. I've been fishing for carp on Deer Creek and come up on bass, cast at bass with this. I've even caught walleye on this on Deer Creek as well, so it's been a fun pattern too. It was more of a surprise than anything, but that was all right. All right, a few strands of this dark brown Flashabou. You could use root beer flash as well, crystal flash, that would be fine. Crystal flash, not Flashabou, my bad. And I leave these really, really long, and then I'll trim them short later. And get this body wrapping forward. And like I said, this fly is really simple, but it's extremely durable, works well.
Is that rabbit or pine squirrel?
It's pine squirrel. Pine squirrel. Okay, so same thing. We're going to put a couple different color lights on this one though, just for fun. But carp like orange. They like orange a lot. Oranges, blacks, olives, typically the colors I tie most with. But I've caught carp on just about everything. We've caught them on size 18 nymphs while we're guiding on the Provo. I caught them on big streamers, trolling for trout, all that fun stuff. So I haven't found much that they won't eat, to be honest. What's that? You found a lot they won't eat? Yeah. That's more often the case, unfortunately. Yeah, no, carp, honestly, one of the most finicky critters out there that we can pursue with a fly rod especially. But man, when you can tie into them, that is fun. Alright, so we're going to lay this one. Pull them tight so we're not sacrificing too much of the length. Alright. Actually, this pattern in all black is fantastic on strawberry too. Early season when those little tiny black crayfish are kicking around. I call this pattern the Cray Dude. Alright. Really coarsely dubbed head with this Cohen's carp dub. Another fun way to put this in, actually, if you pick it all out and comb it out, you can actually just lay it on as a clump and tie it in, and then there's a lot less picking you have to do
Nice and neat.
later, which is kind of nice. Let's see, we're actually one more little bit in here. And that macrame yarn again. Fold it in half, find where you want Okay. And like I said, this guy in olive black, this kind of rust color, all very effective. Trim that so that it's, let's see, try to pull that out. Trim that so it's not quite, well, you want it going further than the tail. So it's got a bit. So it rides hook point up just like that. Good fly, good hook gap on these. Let's see, this is the Allen 105. These are the size 2.
What do you do if the fish is colorblind?
Try a different one. And there are days with carp you want to match the color of the bottom. There's days you want to not match the color of the bottom. I mean, it kind of depends on the day. Some days, if there's any flash, they'll take off running, and some days, if they're not, they'll ignore it. So who knows? You have to take your mother's age and square root it to the date you were born and subtract the amount of, I don't know. I'm sure there's some mathematical equation out there to figure them out. I haven't figured them out yet. Carp are a lot of fun. I don't know if you have any questions, anything like that. I can take a stab at answering.
You do all different sizes?
I do. I do. Typically, I will stick between, size 12, 12 for some of the smaller ones. I mean, like this guy that we tied earlier. That's about as small as I'll go usually. But there are days when it's hard to get them to eat anything bigger, and so you'll just have to go small after them. So you want to find a good hook, good sturdy hook that's going to hold up well. And I've found that these little streamer 555 jigs from Tiemco work well. That's the size 12 on those. So, but yeah, range of sizes 12 to 2 usually works well.